Steve Mignani here in the junkyard doing the junkyard crawl with a DeSoto. This is a 1960, the next to the last year for the fabled DeSoto line, which came out in 1928. And basically DeSoto gave Chrysler Corporation something to sell against General Motors' more upscale cars, while Dodge and Plymouth attacked Chevrolet. DeSoto went after Olds and Pontiac, and it did very well for a few years, but by the late 1950s, DeSoto was on its last legs, and this is the next to the last of those legs, 1960. But something kind of special is the fact that this is also the first of something special, and that is unit construction. 1959, DeSotos, like all Chryslers, were body on frame. 1960 brought unit construction. So from the firewall back, the body is basically like a big steel bubble. The front frame bolts on. But this here is the base 361 two-barrel. It's a big block. There were no V8s, there were no six-cylinder engines in any DeSoto after 1955. They were all V8 powered, but this is the big block, 361 cube, and it's kind of unique too. The rocker arms here have separate aluminum stands, which is something that went away in 1964 when you get a cast-in iron integral stand. But again, these are 1960 cylinder heads. Again, only 4 valve cover bolts, nothing here in this corner. For 1964, an additional set of bolts would happen here on both ends. So very original, unmolested engine bay. Power steering. This was a manual drum brake car. The booster, I don't think was ever there. It might have been a power brake car, but anyway, pretty basic. You know, I don't see air conditioning. And the transmissions on these is worthy of discussion. If you want to lead the way, we'll open the door and have a peek. Now, these would have had standard a 3-speed manual with the shifter on the column. Now, if this was a Chrysler, there was something called the Astrodome dashboard, which would have had a big plastic bubble, 1960, 61, and 2. But DeSoto, they were so close to being toward the end, they didn't do the Astro bubble. So this would have had a 3-speed manual transmission in base form. But look at this. This has the automatic. But check it out. What's up with this? A delete plate right there. And only 2 gears? Yep. This is the Torqueflite, which came along in 1954 and was basically a $189 transmission. Another 38 bucks gets you the 3-speed Torqueflite with a full 3 buttons. But the thing about this, if we take a peek here, is you'll see there was actually, they touted this as a safety feature because reverse and drive are separated by neutral, which in other words it prevented people from accidentally selecting reverse. Whereas on more traditional Detroit automatics, reverse and low were right next to each other, but not so on the Torqueflite. Right here, neutral separates those two. But you might say, where's park? Well, park was basically a foot-operated brake, which operated on the back of the transmission, a little brake drum. Push that down, step on the pad. When you want to release it, you pull out and press down right here. Now, a lot of folks forgot to do that and went driving down the road with the parking brake engaged, dragging on that drum on the tail of the transmission. I had a 61 Plymouth Savoy that somebody had done that with. The trick is you got to pull out and push down. Most people pull on it and it doesn't disengage, just drive. You can drive through it, but it doesn't last very long. But this is a pretty, interesting piece, man. 4 doors, and again, no frame on this one here. This is a unit construction car. And again, we can see where the rust has really come in and has made a mess out of this thing. But if this was 1959, it would be body on frame. But again, 1960 and 61, final 2 years. But we have it here, the death of the tail fin right there. Virgil Exner in 1957, of course, was the big year that tail fins arrived on the scene, but by 1960-61, they were absolutely passé. This is also a 4-door hardtop, which is to say that it's not a sedan. When you roll the windows down front and rear, there's no pillars. This is all open air, which is kind of sporty. It's the next best thing to a convertible in a way, whereas a sedan would have had full door frames and more obstructed view looking out. But here it is, man, 1960, next to last year for the DeSoto brand. In fact, we saw a similar car up in New Hampshire at Winkle Auto Wrecking. That was, again, a similar car, but that one had the 3-speed Torqueflite, which again was 38 bucks more than the $189 Torqueflite seen in this. So that's the story of the 1960 DeSoto, next to last year for the almighty DeSoto brand. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the Steve Mignani YouTube channel, and we'll see you again for more.